Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, in this explainer, we're dismantling a concept that, I guarantee, has caused almost everyone watching this a fair amount of unnecessary stress. We're talking about the modern obsession with happiness. That idea that if you aren't walking around with a massive smile on your face 24/7, somehow you're just doing life wrong. Well, today, we're going to look at the hard science and the biological reality of our emotions to uncover why the pressure to be constantly happy is absolutely, fundamentally flawed.
It's not that you aren't doing enough, it's how the human brain works. I really want you to let that sink in for a second. How often do we scroll through social media, see everyone's perfectly curated highlight reels, and think, man, why don't I feel like that all the time? What am I missing? We tend to treat a totally normal drop in our mood as some kind of personal failure. We think, oh, I haven't meditated enough, or achieved enough, or bought the right stuff. But the truth we're drawing from our source material today is incredibly liberating. Failing to maintain a constant state of joy, it's not a character flaw. It is quite literally the neurological default of our entire species.
So that brings us to the million-dollar question. Why is it impossible to stay constantly happy? I mean, if happiness feels so good, why hasn't evolution just wired us to stay in that state forever? Kind of seems like a cruel joke, doesn't it? Well, as we go through this explainer together, you're going to see that this isn't a glitch in our programming at all. It's actually a highly sophisticated survival mechanism.
Section 1. How your brain actually works.
To really understand this, we need to look under the hood at three very specific, evolutionary reasons why your own mind actively resists permanent joy. And the first biological barrier is a psychological concept known as hedonic adaptation. Basically, this is the mechanism where your brain gradually just gets used to happy events. Think about finally buying that dream car, right? For the first week, you were absolutely thrilled just holding the keys. But a month later, meh, it's just how you get to work. Your brain is essentially designed to have a slow dimmer switch. So no matter how intensely joyful an event is, your mind will always pull your emotional state back down to a normal, stable baseline.
And that brings us to the sheer physical toll of happiness. Joy and excitement are powered by neurotransmitters, mainly dopamine. And flooding your system with dopamine is like redlining a car engine. Your body simply isn't built to run at that maximum RPM forever. If you try to maintain high levels of excitement for too long, it literally leads to severe physical fatigue. It completely exhausts your central nervous system. And when that system finally runs out of fuel, because it will, you experience a harsh emotional rebound. This often feels like a profound sense of emptiness, fatigue, or even mild depression. Your brain is essentially forcing a shutdown to protect you from burning out.
So the crucial takeaway here is that our neurological system completely favors balance. It prefers to fluctuate between different emotions, kind of like a wave, rather than just flatlining at some intense high. Staying stuck at that peak is just way too energetically expensive for the human body to maintain. So you should really think of these emotional resets, those moments when your joy fades into just feeling normal or maybe a bit tired, as your body's built-in cooling system. They prevent biological burnout.
Section 2. The purpose of feeling bad.
Now, what's really interesting to consider is if our brains don't want us to be happy all the time, what is the point of all those other, really uncomfortable emotions? Well, they aren't bugs in our software. They are vital survival features. Anxiety? Sure, it feels terrible, but its functional benefit is discovering problems. It is your brain's radar system scanning for threats. Sadness slows us down, helps us avoid risks and process loss so we stay safe from repeated harm. And boredom. We hate being bored, but it's the uncomfortable little push we need to adjust our direction. It's a signal that what we're currently doing just isn't working or isn't stimulating enough anymore. Think about it. If you were constantly happy, you would completely miss these crucial signals. You'd blindly walk right into a dangerous situation with a giant smile on your face.
Section 3. Happiness versus true well-being.
All right, so it's time for a bit of a paradigm shift away from this impossible standard we've all been holding ourselves to. Consider the difference between joy and true well-being, specifically based on the principles of positive psychology. Joy is brief, it's highly emotional, and it's high intensity. Honestly, it's the sugar rush of the soul. True well-being, on the other hand, is vastly different. It's long-term and structural. It's characterized by feeling peaceful and finding things meaningful. Joy is just a fleeting emotion that happens to you, but true well-being, that is a structural foundation that you can actually build and sustain over the course of your life.
Which brings us to our scientifically backed goal, a life defined by satisfaction, peace, and meaning. This is what we should really be aiming for. Instead of chasing a constant, exhausting state of excitement, we need to realize that long-term stability,
Literally just doing okay and feeling a sense of peace is a far healthier, far more realistic objective. It removes that draining pressure to always be up and allows you to actually find contentment in the quiet, stable moments of your daily life.
Section 4. Your daily action plan.
Okay, so how do we actually stop chasing that sugar rush and start building a real foundation? The source material gives us 4 very actionable strategies to cultivate this structural well-being. First, start by grounding your body's physical chemistry, meaning maintain a regular routine and get some exercise. Second, because humans are deeply social creatures, we have to build and nurture stable relationships. That provides a safety net that those brief moments of joy simply can't offer. Third, establish clear goals. This gives you a sense of control and a meaningful direction in life. But honestly, most importantly, number 4, you must accept emotional fluctuations instead of fighting them. True peace only really comes when you finally accept your biological emotional tides. When you feel sad or bored or just okay, you don't panic. You recognize it as your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. You stop going to war with your own biology.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly important question to consider today. What if you stopped fighting your emotions and started building a meaningful life instead? Just imagine the immense amount of energy you would get back if you stopped feeling guilty for not being perfectly happy all the time. Your brain is not broken. Your fluctuating emotions are actively keeping you balanced, safe, and beautifully human. Give yourself permission to step off the treadmill of constant joy and focus instead on the deep, quiet, and lasting power of true well-being. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this gives you a whole new perspective on your own mind.